A little birdie told me that you said 2025 would be the year that you find your forever man. I can already sense that you are going about it completely wrong, okay? So I'm trying to get to you before you start writing out your manifestations and vision boards, because if you really, really, really want to manifest your husband this year, I need you to listen to this video. Hello, my love. I'm your girl Rima, your tough loving big sis who takes her own advice. And this is not just any episode of Rima's Rules. This is part of a new December series called sis-mas, where I give you a series of big sis advice for the month of December. So every week during the month of December, you will get about 2 to 3 videos of the tough loving big sis advice that I wish I had an older sister to tell me when I was growing up. But let's get into this video, because as someone who did successfully manifest a husband, there are a lot of things that I feel I honestly unintentionally did right that I think can really help you if you really feel like you are ready to settle down. Less than 2 months before Ahmad and I officially started talking, I did probably one of the most savage things that I've ever done in my life. It was like December 30th, 31st, New Year's Eve time. And I literally decided to fully leave somebody's son in an entire calendar year. Like, I decided to leave this man in 2019 and just start fresh in 2020. Don't feel bad for the man, okay? He was toxic. He was trying to play me a little bit. We weren't really talking. We were still in like the beginning phases of talking. And I made the very big mistake of entertaining someone who I knew was not my husband. Now, I can guarantee you that a lot of you watching this are entertaining someone's son who you know is not your forever man. And that's where you are getting so messed up. You are basically giving so much energy to nothing but a placeholder. I want to talk a little bit today about why that is literally sabotaging your efforts at finding your person, but I'll kind of finish this story. Anyway, was talking to this guy, knew he wasn't my husband. And the thing is, like, I had spent most of my 20s talking to men who I knew were not my husband. I just knew. Now, I don't necessarily believe in the whole if you know, you know. Like, I didn't necessarily know for a fact that Ahmad was my husband when he and I first started talking. But all I kept telling my friends about him is he's not my husband. Like, I could not negate the option that he was my forever person. But if I was very honest with myself, with every other guy before that, I knew that they weren't my man. Like, I just knew. I knew that I liked them in this moment, but I just could never fully visualize me being with them for the rest of my life. And I still, like you, decided to waste my time because I'm human. I wanted companionship. I wanted to feel loved. I wanted to love. I wanted to go through heartbreak. I don't know if you're like that, but I'm just like, I feel like all of these experiences are so important to turn me into the woman I wanted to be before I committed to that person. It is part of your 20s to just try people on, figure out what you like, figure out what you don't like, figure out who you are. And I'm not judging the version of you that wants to do that. But the version of you that I would love to hold accountable is the one who says she's ready. There was a point in my 20s, I want to say I was 26, where I started to feel like, okay, I'm actually ready. Where I started to like my alone time a lot more than spending time with random guys or people. I didn't feel the need to have companionship for the sake of companionship. And 9 times out of 10, I truly preferred to be in my own space and kind of date myself. That being said, I definitely still was getting to know people, and my standard just became extremely high for what I was tolerating. And so literally within like a month, 2 months, 3 months, I would just cut things off because I couldn't see it going anywhere and I wanted to just get back to dating myself. In retrospect, I didn't realize this at the time, I would say that me loving my alone time more than just any time with anyone, I was creating the environment where my standards would be so high for not just who would enter that space, but who would ultimately get to share that space with me forever. I am a big believer that when you start to evolve, God kind of sends you these little tests. And so I was getting a lot of tests in the form of men who were not for me. And it was kind of like the old version of myself was battling with the new version of myself. The old version of myself being the one that liked to waste her time for sport, and the new version of myself being the one that was like, if he's not your man, leave him alone, right? So I would start talking to them and I would try to convince this version of myself that they could be like, you don't know, how are you supposed to know? He might show you something different, but it's like I always knew. And so ultimately it would always come to a very quick end. And I think the more I started building that muscle of, if he's not your husband, leave him alone, the stronger and more independent I started getting. I would do crazy things to be able to really have that talk with myself. Like, there was one guy who, after a couple of dates, I literally saved him under my phone as not your husband in huge letters, so that I could kind of hold myself accountable if I still was texting him or FaceTiming him, to see those in big letters. Like, girl, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, why are you still talking to him? So that one ended very, very, very quickly. There was another guy who kind of reemerged from my childhood. And I actually told this story on a different YouTube video, but that one was scary because he was saying all the right things. I just felt in my gut that he was lying, but he was saying and doing all the right things. So I literally like called in God, and I'm just like, I need a sign, and I need it to smack me in the face. Like, if he is wrong for me, if I'm not supposed to see him on Friday, we had plans that Friday, I need you to do whatever you need to do to just remove this person from my life. And I kid you not, Friday rolled around and I got ghosted. This was the first time and only time since then in my life that I got actually ghosted by someone. And my ego was like 3% bruised, but 97% like just enamored by what God was able to do. I have not spoken to that person ever since. Like, we were texting for weeks, every single day, even FaceTiming. And then the day that we were supposed to see each other, neither of us texted the other person. I kind of didn't text him because I was like, okay, let me just see if God, like, I'm feeling weird vibes, and let me just see if this is what God is doing right now. But then when it got time for the date, I texted him like, are you good? Or is everything okay? And he never responded. And we have never spoken ever since. So that was probably like one of the craziest like bullets that I've dodged, right? And this was all literally in the year leading up to me and Ahmad meeting. Then there was this other guy. We met on Instagram, we became friends, we hung out a few times in person, and we were just talking, and I knew that I was just actually using him as a placeholder. I liked the attention that he was giving me. I knew that I wasn't operating as my higher self. I knew that the version of me that was showing up every day talking to this guy who wasn't fully taking me seriously, that was not the woman that I had committed to being. That is not the girl who I had been earlier that year, who preferred her alone time over just conversation, right? But of course, we're all human, and certain human needs get the best of us. And I totally fell into the trap of just wanting to feel good, wanting companionship, wanting someone to talk to. And so we would talk a lot, but I caught him in a lie about something. We talked for about 2 months, November and December of 2019. I didn't really, I didn't like him yet. Like, I was starting to like him. I had a little crush on him, but I didn't like him yet. Do you get what I mean? And so I caught him in this lie. And I remember just looking at myself like, girl, are you really about to let some dude who you don't even have real feelings for lie in your face? Like, is this how bad you want to talk to someone? You're gonna let some guy who you don't even have real feelings for make you look stupid? So I literally, it was December 31st. I left him. I just imagined, this is the weirdest thing. I don't know if anyone could relate to this because I'm kind of a perfectionist. I imagined like a full calendar year and then a new fresh one parallel to it. So there's like the full calendar year of like January, February, all the months of 2019. And I just pictured myself being at December 31st, 2019, all the way at the bottom of this row. And that in a few hours, we would literally just go to a fresh calendar year. And I had just decided in that moment, I want to keep him on this side. Like, he stays in this column. He does not get to advance to the next year with me. And something about that perfect little transition for me just made me feel so confident and self-assured. And I'm just like, he's playing you, he's lying to you. I did send him a message. Like, I'm not a ghoster. I'm very much so say what I mean what I say. And so I sent him a nice long message and let him know I would be blocking him on some Libra shit. And that's exactly what I did. Left him in 2019. Done. I was so proud of myself, and I feel like I entered 2020 feeling so confident and so self-assured and just so grounded. And even for like that whole year, I would tell people like, if he's not my husband, I don't want to talk to him. And again, Like I said, I wasn't that good at taking my own advice back then, but I will say I actually was taking my advice because I would talk to them, and the lifespan that those relationships would last, me knowing that they're not my husband, would get shorter and shorter and shorter until Ahmed and I started talking literally like the end of January. We made it like official because it moved really fast on February 2nd, 2020. So 2/2/20. And we've obviously spoken every single day ever since, and we are now married. And the speed at which it happened was kind of crazy. Again, I'm not about to tell you if you know, you know, because I'm not going to lie and say that for the first several months I knew. I didn't. I just knew that I felt something completely different from the way I felt in the past when I just knew they weren't for me. And the reason I want you to hear this coming into a new year is because you might also be at the place that I described where you like your alone time more. You are really learning true self-love. Like you actually like yourself. These are all great signs that you're ready to share space potentially with someone else because you understand what energy you bring. You understand who you are. You understand what you need and what you value. And you might also still be in the situation that I was in where you are kind of wasting time with people that you know are not right for you. And I'm not here to judge you. I really am here to talk to you like a friend, like a big sis, and let you know that your space, your energy is not cheap. It shouldn't just go out to whoever. Not everybody deserves to literally share space with you, even if that space is through iMessage or through FaceTime. You have such a powerful premium energy and they can feel that. And you need to know that so that you're not just dishing it out to whoever is there picking up your calls. Because the second you decide to preserve that between you and yourself, you're going to become so much more magnetic to the person that will ultimately not just deserve that energy, but kind of reciprocate it. Someone who can also bring their own powerful, premium, top-notch energy and create something beautiful for you. Right now, when you're talking to people who are not your husband, this is no shade to them. I happen to talk to people that really just didn't deserve to be talking to me. You might be talking to high quality people. They just, you know, they're not your high quality people. And so the energies are just mismatched. We don't have to like say bad things about the people that you're talking to in order for it to be wrong. They just aren't the ones that are ready to receive what you have to give, and vice versa. So much of manifesting your man is not about writing it in your journal. It's not about putting it on your vision board. It's not about writing all these checklists of what you want in somebody. It's not about visualizing yourself getting married to them. It really is about cleansing your energy. And the number one way to do that is to be very, very, very deliberate about who you share space and time and conversation with. If he is not your man and you're ready to actually manifest your man, you need to leave him alone. If he's not your husband, leave him alone. I promise you, things will move so quickly when you actually show yourself that you're not desperate to just be talking to anyone. When you show yourself that you and your energy and your space and your own companionship with yourself is more than enough, that makes you so much more attractive to the person that is ready to appreciate that. So do what you need to do. Save him under your phone as not my husband. Have a real talk with them and let them know that you can't see yourself with them in the future. Whatever it is that you need to do, maybe it is as extreme as leaving them in a whole calendar year the way I did. Whatever. I'm not here to judge you or shame you on your process. I'm just here to give you the courage to listen to what your intuition has been trying to scream at you. You might be making the mistake of thinking that you can just treat this person as a placeholder and then when your husband comes, you'll just jump ship. And it just doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that because your energy is getting all messed up. The radio signals are getting all messed up with the person that you're actually talking to. Had I tried to keep talking to 2019 boy and then manifest Ahmad, I can guarantee you that it wouldn't have worked. It would have either been delayed by a few years, and who knows, mind you, Ahmed had been in my life all along. So maybe our process was delayed because of all the people I was wasting my time with. He was my brother's best friend. I have a story on that somewhere on my channel if you want to hear about it. But he was my brother's best friend, and so we could have technically, started talking anytime in the past 10 years. I'm very grateful that we didn't. Because I really am very grateful for the experiences that I had, and I wasn't in a rush for any of it. But theoretically, technically speaking, my energy was probably so wrapped up in other things that I had going on and other people that I was sharing my space with that I was not an energetic match to him, and vice versa. At the point where he and I finally started getting to know each other, each of us had kind of like cycled out of past things that were misaligned for us and decided that we're ready to get serious. I know you've already probably listed out everything about your future man and what he looks like and put pictures on your vision board, like I said. But if there's one thing that I want you to do as a takeaway from this conversation, it's not about him. I want you to think about who you want to be, what kind of person you want to be, what kind of values you want to uphold, how you want to show up every day, the energy that you want to bring. I'm sure you're already doing a lot of these things, so it doesn't all have to be aspirational, but I just want you to write down on paper the identity that you want to hold as your future self or your higher self, and figure out how to show up as that as often as possible every single day. And chances are it's going to illuminate a lot of the things in your life. It's not just people, the things, the habits, the decisions, the thought processes, the conversations that you're having that are misaligned to the person you just committed to being. And I want you to listen to that and have no shame about getting rid of all of that. In my case, yes, it was somebody's son who I left in 2019 because they were clearly very, like, they couldn't have been more misaligned to who I said I wanted to be. But it was also certain ways of thinking. It was also certain mindsets. It was also certain feelings I had about myself and my body and my attractionality. Like, I wanted to walk into a relationship feeling a certain way about myself. And so I committed to creating that feeling and showing up as that identity, and everything else just fell into place. So I really hope you enjoyed this big sis advice. Merry sis-mas, my love. And if there are any topics or things that you want me to discuss in this series, I would love for you to comment below and just drop some topic ideas or things that you would love advice on, because I would love to make a video about it. Oh, by the way, I have been slammed. Life has just moved very quickly, which is probably another video for another day. But I have never been this busy in my life. I say all that to say there's been a freaking closing video to the In Those Jeans series, kind of like half edited, for weeks. And I just have not been able to finish editing it because I want it to be really good. But I am finally fitting in. I'm finally fitting in the jeans. That challenge was just so transformational. So that video will go out at some point, hopefully before 2025. I really don't know. But I did want to show up before I got that out and just do what I love to do the most, which is give really good advice that I wish someone told me when I was growing up. So I really hope you enjoy this series. And as always, I will not be asking you to like or subscribe, but I will say that if you like this video, bring a friend with you next time. Let's leave people even more powerful than we found them. I love you so much, and I will see you on the next sis-mas video. Bye.